Assalamu alaikum. Just before the Tarawih starts, one correction also, his Imam's, his Ubaidullah, his parents are not both Libyan. His father is Libyan, his mother is English, in fact. So just a correction. The other thing is, I'm sure, and this is worth reminding people, I'm sure many of you know, we mentioned this last year as well, that the Imam is reading in a qira'ah that's perhaps unusual for some people, because he's reading in Riwayat Warsh and Nafi', whereas most of us, Indian subcontinent, a lot of the Middle East, read in Riwayat Hafs and Asim. And perhaps a lot of us didn't even know that there are other Qiraa'aat that exist. And this is well known amongst the ulama and amongst the Qur'an, that there are different ways in which the Qur'an can be recited. And earlier on, when the Qur'an was being revealed, some of the Sahaba were unsure as well. They didn't know. I mean, the famous narration, the one in which Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu, he says he was in prayer behind Hisham ibn Hakim ibn Hizam, and he was reading Surah Al-Furqan in a different way, in a different harf, is what they say. And Umar ibn Khattab was getting agitated in Salah. He wanted to stop the Imam because it's unusual. So as soon as he finished the prayer, he grabbed him by the clothes, and he took him. He went and he asked him, he goes, "What are you reading? What's this?" He goes, "This is how the Prophet ﷺ taught me." And Umar said to him, "Kadabt, you lie." And he dragged him to the Prophet ﷺ, and he explained to him how this man Hisham was reading. And the Prophet ﷺ first said, "Let go of him." And he asked Hisham to read, and Hisham read, just like he read with Umar ibn Khattab. And then he asked Umar radiallahu anhu to read, and he read in the way that the Prophet ﷺ taught him. And he said, "Both of you are correct. These are Al-Furqan unzila ala sab'ati ahruf." Or kama qal, that the Qur'an was sent down in 7 different ways, or ahruf. So read in whichever one is easy for you. They were all, the important thing is that they were all revealed to the Prophet ﷺ. In a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, أقرأني جبريل على حرف فراجعته فلم أزل أستزيده ويزيدني حتى انتهى إلى 7 أحرف. That Jibreel read to me in one way. So I went back to him asking for more ways, because the Qaba'il, the Arabs were different, they had different tongues, different dialects, and he had to make it easy for the people to read the Qur'an. So he kept asking Jibreel for a different way, and Jibreel kept giving him a different way, and asking him for more and more until he finished at 7 ways or 7 ahruf. So eventually these evolved into what became known as the 7 qira'at. Or the 10 qira'at, in fact. There are 10 which are mutawatira. In other words, groups of people, narrated from groups of people, until it reached the Prophet ﷺ. They are all accepted, they were all revealed to the Prophet from Jibreel alayhi salam. And the Imam has an ijazah in the 10 qira'at. So he learned from his teacher, who learned from his teacher, who learned from his teacher, and so on. I think there's about 27 people from him, from Qari Ubaid, to the Prophet ﷺ. And they're all listed down. And subhanAllah, when you read it, when you look at the ijazah itself, it sends shivers down your spine, especially when you get to the end. When you see Uthman ibn Affan, Umar ibn Khattab, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Zayd ibn Thabit, and then عن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم عن جبريل عليه السلام عن رب العالمين. To have that chain from here all the way to Allah Azza wa Jal, is such an amazing thing. And it's one of the miracles. Abu Bakr, our teacher, Abu Bakr here, he's here. Inshallah. Ustad Abu Bakr, I'm not going to call him Shaykh, that controversy, I'm going to stop. So, Ustad Abu Bakr talked about the mu'jiza, the miracle of the Qur'an. So many, millions of people memorize it. Millions of people. There are millions of people like Ubayd who memorize the Qur'an in the different ways as well. No other book, like Abu Bakr is saying, no other book exists like this. To know the book by heart from now to when it was revealed 1,400 years ago, it is one of the miracles, the living miracles. So, barakallah feekum, jazakumullah khair, may Allah bless him, and bless his family, and may he accept our Taraweeh prayers, our khatm inshallah, and finally, the way in which the khatm will take place. So he hasn't got much left to, about half a juz left. He will do the khatm immediately after he finishes the Qur'an. So he's going to read Qur'an Rabbin Nas, and then he's probably going to go back to Alif Lam Mim and stop, and that's when he's going to raise his hands for the dua before the ruku'. Before you get down for ruku', that's one accepted way, perhaps the better way of doing it. So he's going to do the dua as soon as he finishes the Qur'an, and then once he's done the dua, he'll then go into ruku' and get up. Then after that, he's going to do the witr prayer, and there won't be a dua in the witr prayer because we'll have done a long one, hopefully, inshallah, for that. Does that make sense? Yes. Barakallahu fiik.